What's going on, everybody? This is Coach D here for another Ask Coach D session. All right, first off, as you guys tune in, put down in the comments, let me know where you're tuning in from. All right, and today we're going to talk about, building your network marketing business, but are you building it for the long term? Are you building it for long term sustainability? All right. Now, of course, we use these sessions every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. For you guys to bring your questions. If you have some questions in your network marketing business, go ahead, drop them down below, and we'll get you some answers. That's what we're here for. All right. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and dive into this, and I'll tell you guys, why I started thinking about this. Right. If you've been doing your business any length of time, I mean, it could be 30 days, it could be 2 months or whatever, right? But at some point, you're looking at the activities that you're doing, and you have to ask yourself, are these the same activities that I want to be doing, let's say 5 years from now, right? As it relates to your business, right? And, I bet that some of you guys, will say, what? No, this is not what I intend to be doing 5 years from now. Whatever it is, however it is that you're building your business right now online, and that's one of the things I, have been looking at, with, growing and everything like that, and working with different coaches as well. Is really starting to, I already started, actually. I started making transitions in my business, and some of you guys probably saw them. I started making some transitions in my business, probably the end of last year. I started making some serious transitions, because here's what it is, guys. We can, we can make money, right? And some of us are making money, and hopefully more of us will be making money, right? Hopefully more of you guys will be making money, but at some point you have to look at what is it that you're doing to make the money now, right? Whether it's, let's say you're building on Facebook, for example, right? Because I know a lot of guys are on Facebook, right? Let's say you're building on Facebook. Are you on Facebook, and you have to constantly be on Facebook? Now it may only be a few hours a day, right? But are you building your business in such a way that if you decided to pull back, from having to post every day, right? For example, if you pulled back from that, are you building your business in such a way that your business will collapse? And this is something that, as a network marketer, any entrepreneur really, but specifically us network marketers, we have to think about that. So you guys tell me in the comments as you jump on, what would happen if you pulled back from, let's say, social media marketing, from, let's say, Facebook, right? If you pulled back from Facebook, let's say for 2 months, would your business collapse? Or would you still have a thriving business, or at least would it be able to maintain, whatever level it is right now? Put down in the comments, tell me, say, hey, it will collapse, or it will maintain, whatever that looks like for you. Because here is what I was seeing, okay? And my business and other people's business, but of course I'm going to scrutinize my own business. Okay, I don't really scrutinize other people's businesses unless they're paying me to do so, but I definitely scrutinize my own, because we are in control of our own destiny, right? We are in control of how successful we become, right? So we have to be in control of handling these things. So, when I started making transitions, I looked at these things and I said, hey, okay, there were a lot of things before the end of last year. There were a lot of things, a lot of activities that I was doing online, whether it be Facebook, YouTube. There were a lot of things I was doing, and some of it was busy work, being honest. Some of it was busy work, and I started thinking to myself, like, man, do I want to be that person? Because there are people like this that, they have been, maybe they've been doing this 10, 20 years, some people, and they always on Facebook, for example. They're always on Facebook, doing the hustle. They're doing the hustle. Okay. Yeah, they'll tell you they're just working an hour there in the business, but hell, they're answering questions more than an hour. Okay. So that's more than an hour. All right. And if they pull back, some of them are in a situation where if they pull back, if even for a month, their business would almost collapse. It would really go down. And when we're out here talking, I made a post about this earlier. It's like this, guys. We're out here talking about that. We all want to live the laptop lifestyle, for example, right? You guys have heard that, right? Put down in the comments if you've heard that, or maybe you've said that you want to live the laptop lifestyle. If that's what you've said or heard, put down in the comments, say laptop, right? Let me know that you've heard that before. If you maybe you've said it, because I know I've said it in the past, right? But one of the realizations that I came to is that a laptop lifestyle insinuates that I want to walk around with a freaking laptop, which insinuates that I want to work all the time. Because what are we talking about when we say a laptop lifestyle? We're talking about the fact that we can do our work from a laptop, right? Okay, so yeah, okay, it's great that I can take my laptop wherever I go. That's great. But let's be honest, okay? And your situation may be different, but you have to, really ask yourself these questions in your network marketing business. Is that what you want to do? If you want to take your laptop with you on vacation so that you're still working on your vacation, take your laptop to your children's graduation so you're still working at the children's graduation, wherever you go, you got your laptop, so you work it every day. Okay. And don't get me wrong, all right, if that's you, kudos to you. Everybody has to evaluate their own growth, their own goals. And I started evaluating mine. I said, you know what? I don't want a laptop lifestyle. I don't want to have to take my laptop everywhere so that I can work all the time. That's not where my ultimate end game is, right? My ultimate end game. Now, before you get there, before you get to that end game, you got to put in some work. Okay, let's just be real. You got to put in some work. But if you don't have an end game in mind, if you're just living for the quick fix here, it's kind of like, if someone is has a drug habit, right? They're looking for like a quick fix, like, oh yeah, this is awesome now, but not really building things, as far as business, not really building on a solid foundation that can get you to wherever your end game is, right? So think about it, guys. If your end game is that you want passive income, let's see this for a minute. Now, I'm sure you guys make money online as well, make money on Facebook as well, as well as I do, right? But how much of it can we say is passive? All right, now maybe there's a sliding scale on what the definition of passive is, right? But for me, passive income is me watching Law and Order. I like Law and Order. Me watching some Murder She Wrote, because I like Murder She Wrote, right? I like watching Power, right? These are things I like watching, right? For me, passive income is while I'm up there watching TV or taking a walk, if that's what I do, you know what I'm saying, or just vegging out. And let's say I want to do that, for a month or 2 months on end, let's just say, right? For me, passive income means that my income is still coming in regardless of me doing those things, right? For me, that's what passive income is. Okay, that's way passive. Let me get it. Okay, now passive income is not just because I can do things online in a couple of hours, a day. To me, that's not passive. That means I still need to do something, right, to be able to get the income. Because if you get that one hit, that quick fix, it's good then, it's good right then, right? But once it's gone, it's like, man, now I gotta go hustle some more, right? I gotta go hustle some more money, right? So at some point you have to start thinking about your end game for your network marketing business. Are you really building something for the long term? Is that even in your vision plan, right? To build something that you can at some point walk away from, or at least scale way back, like, be far removed and have, process in place. And it brings me to like, how do you actually do that, right? And I'm going to tell you guys, I did what everyone should be doing that wants to learn something, right? That wants to learn how to do that. I went to learn how to do that, right? So I started learning how to actually do that. We're talking about whether it be audios, trainings, whatever the case may be, right? We learn. And some of the things that I've learned as it relates to that is some of the things that we need in place. We need processes in place. We need systems in place that do not rely on a single individual, right? You have to get to that point where things don't always rely on you or some other single individual. because let's think about like this, right? Because we're all probably in some of the similar opportunities, right? And this is some real talk. This is some real talk here. This things that goes on in my mind, right? And I know that at some point they're going to go in your mind. Let's say like we have team webinars, right? And we're on multiple teams. You guys are on multiple teams, right? And we have team webinars, right? Okay. And they're great. They convert really high, right? But here's the deal. This is what I've experienced. If the organization that is having, these, that is ultimately backing, like the ultimate back end. We're not talking about if you're having a webinar for your team, but the company also has something that the team can plug into. We're not talking about that, because if your company that connecting with, if they, got tons of people on their staff, they're good. They're hiring employees. They got tons of people on staff. They're good, right? But if you don't have that in place, where you're doing something for your team, that's cool, but you still got the backing of a company that's doing something for the team just in case you decide to take 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off or, a couple months off. You need to think about that. Because do you want everything to ride on you? Think about it for a minute now. Do you want everything to ride on you? Meaning if you decide to take 2 months off, then the team that you built has nowhere to go because the company don't have nothing for them. The company don't have no weekly webinars for them or anything for them to plug into. That's a problem. That leaves you in a position of thinking like, oh my gosh, what in the world? What am I setting people up for? What am I setting myself up for? Right? Because if you're not putting yourself in a position where at some point you're going to be able to hand things, off, and basically we all have to, and this is another thing I had to learn too. At some point, we got to get out of our own way, guys. We got to get out of our own way, right? You can't control everything, right? You got to let that company do some work. That company that you join, you got to let them do some work, right? This is literally what you're paying them for. If you're paying them monthly, whatever the case may be, this is literally what they pay their employees for. You're going to have to let them do some work. Even if you have your team call, because I have team calls, right? You guys probably have team calls. Right? There's 2 teams I'm on that has team calls or whatever, but I have my own team call, right? But the company that we use heavily has their own structure. So that way, if I want to pull back, right, anyone who I've brought into that organization is still good to go. And that is going to make for more longevity and long-term growth, not just for my income, but for my personal being. Right. And a lot of times at the beginning, we're just thinking about, the money, right? Like, shoot, which one gonna get me the money the fastest, But once you start making some money, and I'm gonna tell you how it happened for me, and it probably has happened to you or will happen to you when you start making some money. Once you start making some money, and I'm not saying like your first few thousand or whatever, which that's great, but I'm saying like once you, start hitting the 5 and even the 10 in a particular month, and it's like, okay, boom, you know how to make money, right? You start thinking about stuff. You start thinking about, okay, well, wait a minute. What processes do I need to put in place, so that my team can duplicate, so that they can now, get to a place where they're in position that if they do want to have team calls, fine, but they don't have to. But ultimately, the ultimate goal is that, do they have that company backing them? Right? Do they have a company backing them so that they don't have to do everything by themselves? Am I setting them up for success, or am I leading them down to a path of looking like you're going to be on social media for the next 10 years hustling it out? And yes, there's people who admittedly so have said that they've been trying to make money online for 20 years. At least that's what they said, for 20 years. And then they finally started and, started making money and stuff like this, and I see those people a lot. Now I have no clue what type of actual life they have. I know what pictures they show, but I also know that there's only 24 hours in a day. And if you are a lot of that time that I see you on Facebook, and I know it's only 24 hours in a day, all right, then you're going to sleep 8 of them, I guess, if you get your full sleep, right? Then it's a lot of the time that there might have been some, recorded videos or, old photos or something, and like I said, everybody is different on what they want, but you got to decide what type of network marketing business you want to run for the long term, and then start putting things in place for it. Does it mean that you're going to have everything in place right now? No, of course not. No way. Who in the world starts out with everything in place? Nobody on Nobodysville, right? But at some point you say, okay, well, let me see what items do I need to start putting in place, so that way maybe it takes you, let's say 3 months to put stuff in place. Okay, and that's what I started doing. Okay, back in the end of last year, right? That's what I started doing, putting the products in place, the things that I was using, the tool, whether it be the tools, whether it be the biz ops, started putting things in place, because there are some biz ops that we promote that they don't have any back end structure, meaning that they don't have much help for the people who we bring in. Let's just be real with it. We're not going to say names of companies, but there's tons of companies like that we bring a person in. They may have a Facebook group for the company, but that Facebook group is not really helpful at all. Let's just be real with that, right? And there's a lot of, programs like that. They might be a lot of hoopla, but it ain't a whole bunch of nothing else, right? And it is what it is, right? So it's like, what are you going to do to set your whole brand up as to the point of it, no matter if you bring them into this biz op, that biz op, whatever the case may be, but what is your base that you're going to introduce your organization to, that that if they rock out with you in that base, no matter how many biz ops they bought from you, if they rock out in that base product or base tool, whatever, right? Or it could be a base opportunity for, in your case, it could be, right? But whatever that base is for you, that base needs to be something that has a backbone, meaning that base needs to be something that they themselves, meaning the company themselves, have training sessions for people who are in that particular, whether it be biz op or opportunity, whatever the case may be, right? Or tool or whatever, right? The company needs to have it on a regular basis. That's one thing that we need to look for. Okay. What else? What else do we need to look for? Another thing, think about this right here. And this one came to me from logic. What I'm about to say came to me from logic. Okay. How many times have we seen companies, get going, and they be fast too. Woo, 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 woo. And then after about maybe 3 to 6 months, they like fizzle out. And then you like, where that thing at, man? I was thinking about joining, but I don't hear about it no more. Did they leave? Did they go bankrupt? Did they have some fraud, or where they at? You don't hear from them. So my point is that you also want to be looking at whatever you're going to use your base. You also want to look at how long have they been around, because you want some longevity, right? You want some longevity. You want them to, honestly, me personally, I want them to be around longer than I have been around, the company, right? Because I only been around since 2018, right? So if they haven't been around at least from, past 2018, then the longevity isn't enough for me to use that as a hub. Now, does that mean that you go and you drop opportunities or whatever? No. What I'm saying is you start having a shift of mindset, a shift of thought process when you start trying to treat your network marketing business for the long term, is what I'm telling you. You start shifting what you put your focus into, right? Because now you're thinking about the long term. So now what I've done is I've shifted my focus and made sure that my backbone, right, is something that's been around for a while, definitely longer than I've been around, right? So therefore it has a longevity. They went through some ups and downs and all this, and they perfected things and all this. They done been through it, right? Put that as my focus. And then check it out. This is what you do. So now when you bring people into your network marketing opportunities, because I'm sure you got multiple, somehow you got multiple streams. Now you may not have multiple biz ops, but whatever, right? You got multiple streams. People may join you in tools that maybe you are also marketing tools, and maybe you want to help them with that, or whatever the case may be, right? But now when you bring people in to your different, opportunities here, right? You have this hub and you say, okay, cool. You're in this opportunity now. That's awesome. That's great. However, okay, for long-term growth, you also need to be in this with me as well, because you know that this is your hub. You know that those other things that they bought don't necessarily have a strong hub. They haven't been around long enough, or they just don't have it set up, right? So you're setting yourself up for success, and you want to lead people down the same path, because what's that's going to do for you? What's that's going to do for you? When you're setting yourself up for success first, right? And you lead people down the same path that they now have a backbone to stand on too, what does that do for you? That actually makes your life easier. Because check this out. And this is one thing that we don't think about at first. Because at first, like I said, we're just thinking about making a whole bunch of sales, man. We're just trying to make some money, right? We're not thinking about all this stuff. But what that actually does for you is it starts to give you your life back. It starts to give you your life back. And I'll tell you what I mean by that, because I experienced it. I was out there, doing a lot of stuff, okay, all over the place. Didn't have a plan, to stand the third, and didn't have a hub structure, right? Didn't that the company, one of the main companies I was promoting didn't have the backbone, right? So I had to create a whole bunch of stuff to try and compensate for it, right? And I got tired. Like, for real, you get tired. I mean, you guys probably couldn't tell because I don't quit. Ain't no such thing as quitting. But you can get burnt the hell out if you go that route, to whereas you never latch on to something that has a backbone to assist you, that never has their own meetings that you can send your people to, that if your people have questions, you don't have to be the one answering all these freaking questions. You can point and say, hey, oh, you want to know how to get leads? Go to that training at X amount of time, right? Oh, you want to know how to create a capture page? Go to that training at X amount of time. Point. Your life becomes way easier when you can start pointing. But if you don't got nothing to point to, guess what who your team is pointing at? You. You ain't got nothing to point to, right? You ain't got nothing to point to, so now they're pointing at you. What's going on? Right, absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, Jamila. And yes, I mean, sis, we've come a long way. Jamila, we've come a long way, girl. I mean, 2018 seemed like it was 12 years ago. Okay. And there's a lot of things that I've had to learn along the way about this process. And this is why you guys see me evolving. But as I evolve, I help others with what I learn, right? As far as, the message that I'm giving, so that maybe you guys can have this, what should we say, this wake up moment sooner than I did, right? I would love it if you guys didn't have to wait 2 years, or a year and a half to have a wake up moment. That would be awesome. But I know that some people are going to take longer. I get it, because a lot of people are not talking about what I'm talking about right now. I literally join, different coaches, and I get this type of knowledge from them, but it's a paid situation. So a lot of times you guys may be trying to find stuff free all the time, or trying to find a one-time pay situation all the time, and people are just not going to pour out to you, pour into you like that in a one-time pay situation. So that may be one reason why you're not getting this type of information that I'm getting now. You know what I mean? That may be one of the reasons. So note to self for you guys: start investing in coaches or different, and not necessarily a coach, but different people who are thinking on this wavelength, so they can help you grow, right? So that you don't be 5 years down the road and you still hustling on Facebook. And if you stop for like a month, your money just went, right? I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that for me. I don't want my next 5 years that at the end of that 5th year, like, I'm literally setting a goal, guys. And hopefully you are too. I'm literally setting a goal. Like, I'm not playing, right? Another 5 years from now is not going to be hustling up on Facebook, right? And I have nothing against Facebook. Obviously, I market on Facebook, but there's a difference between the hustle that you have to do each day to maintain, right? Because if the money stops coming in, you don't have the residuals to hold up for it, and you got to keep on doing the same type of activities that require you to be on it every day. Let's just be honest. If you see any of us posting every day on Facebook, we're not posting just for our health. Let's just be honest. I mean, can we be real? We're not posting for our health. We're posting because it's part of our business plan right now. But also, a lot of us, or a lot of people, didn't have or don't have a long-term plan. So this is why I still do YouTube, for example. Why? Because this is just logic here, right? YouTube, the videos just last forever unless your channel gets taken down, if you do something wrong or whatever, but you follow the rules and you'll be okay, right? You know what I'm saying? So this is why you see me on two platforms, because thinking that I'm just going to do something on one platform and knowing good and well I'm gonna have to keep pouring into that platform because my content goes down the news feed. I don't care if 200 people saw it on Monday. By Wednesday, it went down the news feed. So I gotta pour in some more. I gotta keep pouring in, right? And that's okay if that's the future you see for yourself, right? But you have to start thinking, what is that you see for your long-term growth for your network marketing business? What is that plan you see? Most of the people that I've connected with and I've talked to, they said, they all say the same thing as me. Like, well, they'll say like, they don't want to be on Facebook all day, right? And they really be trying to get there in like 2.2 seconds. It ain't a 2.2 second thing. I don't care what nobody tell you, right? It's not something that you start on January and then all of a sudden in March, you making so much dang on money from, you a newbie to March, you making so much dang on money. Now you ain't gotta be on Facebook. It don't work that way. Not in network marketing. Okay. Not in network marketing. It doesn't. Okay. It doesn't work that way. You have to build. It's a business. You have to build, okay. So, but you have to start thinking about which way is going to be the best build to get you to wherever you see yourself in the next, let's just say 5 years. What's going on, Mark? What'd you say now? Do you think those who give away more than they sell still work? Okay. Now, I think what you're saying, Mark, is that those who give away like give away free trainings, more so than what they're doing, like actually selling and promoting the business opportunity. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean, Mark? Like, let me know what you mean so I can answer, because I want to make sure I get your I'm clear on your question there, because you said, do you think those who give away more than they sell still work? So I want to make sure that I understand. If you're talking about like, how like we'll do, free trainings like on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, we're doing videos like how-to videos and mindset videos, things of that nature. And some people, well, a lot of people, they still do those, like videos and everything like that, but they don't have like call to actions, for example. Is that what you mean? Okay, Mark, I'm going to give you my opinion on that, Mark. And it's based on a transition, okay, that I've had, Mark. Okay, Mark said, yep, that's what he was asking me. Now, when I first started, Mark, I was told, just like everybody else, that we're supposed to give value. Okay. And I learned quickly what value meant is that you're giving people some high value content that they could use, whether or not they joined you in business or not. But when I first started doing it, Mark, I was doing it and I had no call to action at the end of my videos or anything. I wasn't telling people to join my Facebook group. I wasn't asking them to join me in business. I wasn't asking them to come to a webinar. I wasn't asking them to do anything. I wasn't asking for anything, Mark. I was just doing it for free. Now, as it relates to that way of giving more than they sell still works, at first I thought yes, because that's what I was taught. But I'm gonna tell you what my transition and my actual paying different coaches and buying into people who they already done got up there, and also using my noggin now and paying attention to how people move, not just what they say, but how they move. I now will tell you, no, that is not the way to go. To be up there, be the person saying, oh, I just want to help for free. I just want to help out of the goodness of my heart. It may be goodness in your heart. But one thing that I've come to learn, and like I said, this is through, learning it from people who already have reached levels that I have not yet reached, and also paying attention to what those people do, right? That here's the deal. If you are not selling, you're not making money. Hear me, Mark? If you're not selling, or somebody selling on your behalf or whatever, it could be a webinar. The point is, if somebody's not selling something, right, then somebody ain't making money. So when it comes to, if you're out there and you're saying, just giving stuff more than you're selling, I'm going to tell you a recent transition that I've had, epiphany, if you will. And I didn't even look at it this way, Mark. And I think, what was the guy's name? Oh my gosh. Man, and that's crazy because I just like heard his name and I can't even remember his name, and now that freaking sucks. Is his name on here? Yes, Dave Wood. I was listening to something from Dave Wood, right? And what he was saying actually made sense. What he was saying is that if you want to build a team, okay, and I'm going to give it to you in a very short version because I don't want to mess it up. I'm being real. I don't want to mess up his message, right? And if I had an affiliate link for his thing, I would literally tell you to go buy his thing. Okay, I'm being dead serious with you. But in a short excerpt, because I don't want to tear it up too bad, what he was saying is that when we're up there, we're giving free, 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 and never selling. We're actually teaching our team to do the same thing. Give free, 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 and never sell. So you know why when we have our people who join us and they're out there, we tell them to give value and they give value, right? But they get tired too because, they're like, dang, man, I'm giving value and nobody's joining me, right? And they're giving their heart out, some of them, because one of the things that we didn't learn early on to tell them, because we didn't know early on, is that you need to be asking for the sell. You need to be asking for the lead, or if you're taking them up to your Facebook group, if you have one, you need to be moving people off of that profile over to something, over to your lead magnet, over to your Facebook group, over to your webinar, right? Over to a sales offer. You need to be moving these people, right? Instead of just free, 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 free. I ain't asking for nothing, free, 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 because you will wind up with an empty, let's take this out here. You'll wind up with this. And guess what they will wind up with? This. Anybody who joins you will wind up with this, because you will be teaching them to do the same thing. So they're going to do what you're teaching them to do, right? Because that's what you thought was right, right? But it just so happened that you did it enough to where you made some sales. But how hard is that to duplicate for people to just give value, but they ain't asking for no sale? They're not asking for some money. Asking for some money, right? And that is what, and there's a lot of people who, the same way they misled, and I'm not going to say they misled me because I got to take ownership for that. They didn't mislead me. I allowed myself to be misled, right? Because I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that that's all I had to do was just go out and train, not ask for nothing, and people would just say, you know what, Dave, you're so nice. Let me just pay my car. No. Now, have I had that happen a time or two? Yes, a time or two. But it was never enough for where a person came and just, I just love you so much, D. Just give me your link. Just take my $4,000 or $1,000. Take it, D. It was never enough to sustain a living, right? It wasn't enough to sustain a living for that to happen. I had to get a better relationship with money, Mark. Okay, I had to get a better relationship with money and understand that I had to sell. I had to sell. Period. Somebody got to move off of my profile or off of my YouTube video into something if I'm going to make money, right? And if my team is going to make money, they have to do the same thing. They cannot be out there just giving value just for the sake of it and not moving people into a lead magnet, a Facebook group, or an offer, a webinar. Move them into something that can add up to some money. Because the time freedom that people seek is going to come when that income increases, baby. You feel me? When that income increases, you get a lot more time freedom that you were seeking to begin with. Absolutely. There's no need to fake it, Mark. We take transitions and we learn. And this is why I do a lot of, training, if you will. It's not just watching like, oh, how do I put this together? No, I'm talking about training of my mindset, training, listening to people who have already been where I'm going, right? They're already there and past where I'm trying to get to type situation. And understanding and not just bucking at what they're saying, not just be like, man, they don't understand. I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. But that makes total sense. If I'm teaching my team to do broke work, then they're going to be broke unless they happen to be one of the I'm not necessarily going to say lucky ones, but one of the go-getters that break through. Not everybody, like for real, there's not a whole bunch of people that are going to put in the type of effort that I put in. And it's not because they're bad people. A lot of people just ain't got the time that I used to have to put in. They have families and things that they have to do, children. I don't have children, right? So I don't have to worry about, oh, my kid is sleeping, but they're going to be up in an hour. So, I don't have to worry about that, but other people do. A lot of people have to worry about that. And that's just the truth, right? So for me to think that people are going to be able to put in 8 hours a day like I used to do is crazy. It's crazy. But I didn't know that it was crazy before until I got more in my personal development and more knowledge of how this whole game goes, right? So that's what I'm talking about as it relates to when we're building our network marketing business for longevity. Start thinking about how you're going to set yourself up for success for the long term. What are you going to use for your hub where hey, what is it that everyone needs, and does that company have what everyone needs, and does that company have a support system to whereas if you step out of the way, right? If you step out of the way, Mark, right? Then will your team still be able to get what they need, right? Whether you dare or not. Feel me? That's what it's about. Hey, Julian, thanks for tuning in. And guys, of course, I put a link down in the description showing you guys what I use as my hub. Okay, so yes, I do want you guys to click the link down in the description, right? So you can see what I'm using as my hub, right? That is where I get my marketing training from. That is what started my transition. And that is what's been around, I think it's like 12 years. So it passes the qualifications for a viable hub, right? To whereas I can step away as I'm building, once I get to my mark, right, that I want to hit, right? I know that hub is part of the process to where, boom. Now, some of this, training that I used to do and stuff, I don't got to do, and my team still gets what they need because I say, hey, go to the team meeting, go to the team meeting, go to the team meeting, go to the team meeting. How duplicatable is that? Like, just think about that for a minute. How duplicatable is that? Like, Julian, can you point someone if they say, hey, I have a question, I don't know how to put together this funnel, can you help me with that funnel? Can you point and say, sure, go to the team meeting on that day, they have their training on funnels, right? Like, can you literally point? That's a situation you want to start putting yourselves in, no matter what company you use. And I'm sure there's tons out there. I'm just telling you guys about the one that I use, right? That has sustainability and has already helped me. So I know it can do the job because it does it for not just me, it does it for tons of other people. All right. So the first link down in the description, definitely rock out with that. Check it out. All right. Check it out. See what I'm using. And if you don't have a hub, tap into that hub, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel because I definitely appreciate you guys coming out. All right. And this is it for today's session. And thank you guys. Thank you. Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely, Julian. Absolutely, Jamila. Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you guys on the next video. All right. Other than that, y'all already know this is Coach D, and we're going to take this ride to the top. All right. And we